Let's talk about what's going on in Texas, because this is no coincidence. We have a theocrat now as the Speaker of the House. And this is, I think, these type of stories, to the extent that there's going to be any type of turnout for the 2024 election, this is going to be one of the biggest reasons. Right now, a state court judge granted a request yesterday to allow for an abortion by a woman. She is pregnant. Fetus has been diagnosed with a fatal condition. The woman, Kate Cox, is 20 weeks pregnant. Maya Guerrero Gamble, Travis County District Court, sided with the woman to allow her to basically enjoin the law from giving her civil or criminal penalties. Then, there's this whole thing of like, she wants desperately to be pregnant, as if like that's the way that you justify it. You passed the test because you want to be pregnant. The point being that to carry this child to term or to when it could survive could also inhibit her ability to have a child in the future. Her fetus has trisomy 18, which is a genetic condition, and it leads to miscarriage or stillbirth, or the infant's death within the first year. She's been to the emergency room 4 times because of pain and discharge, including once after her suit was filed on Tuesday. Doctors have repeatedly told her that under Texas law, she had to continue her pregnancy. And then the Texas Attorney General's office argued on Thursday against the order. And after the ruling, Ken Paxton sends this letter. Do you have a copy of it?
Yeah.
Pop this up. See where mine is here. This is pretty stunning. To whom it may concern, it's come to our attention that Damala Carson, MD, a physician holding privileges at your hospital, intends to perform a dilation and evacuation abortion on Kate Cox. Today, an activist Travis County judge signed a temporary restraining order purporting to enjoin the Attorney General's office and the medical board from enforcing some of the state's abortion laws against Dr. Carson if she performs an abortion on Ms. Cox. We feel it's important for you to understand the potential long-term implications if you permit such an abortion to occur at your facility. Scroll up for me. First, the TRO, that being the temporary restraining order, will not insulate you or anyone else from civil and criminal liability for violating Texas's abortion laws, including first-degree felony prosecutions. Next page. Second, it's the hospital's...
Sorry, Sam, I'm going to scroll up a little bit. Go back, Bradley, just because there's a paragraph I got to change the scroll. Go back to where you were. There you
go. Civil penalties for each... Okay. The TRO purports to temporarily enjoin actions brought by the Attorney General's office and the medical board against Dr. Carson and her staff, but it does not enjoin actions brought by private citizens. So they're talking about that vigilante law where you can sue them. Nor does it prohibit a district attorney or county attorney from enforcing Texas's abortion laws against you, Dr. Carson, or anyone else. And we remind you that the temporary restraining order will expire long before the statute of limitations. Okay, and then there's 2 other things, but the point is, this is an active threat to the doctors and the hospital saying, do not perform this abortion, despite the fact that a court has ruled that she can get one. I mean, they're forcing this woman to carry a fetus that is very likely to die before viability and would seriously impair her health. And this is where they're going. I mean, this is where they are. Doctor convicted of performing an illegal abortion in Texas can face prison and a sentence up to 99 years and fines of at least 100. So he's saying two things, right? Even in that just first paragraph. You'll be subject to lawsuits from private individuals. And I don't even know if there's a limitation on how many of those lawsuits can be filed.
Right.
And secondly, you perform this abortion, the restraining order is going to run out at one point, and we'll get you under the statute of limitations. We'll come and potentially convict you and the hospital and your staff and whatnot. It's, this is
bastards.
People say Handmaid's Tale, but this
That's
is
generous.
where we're at. Exactly.
Because if you actually cared about childbearing women being able to have healthy new, kids to raise in our theocratic state like that, then you would actually protect this woman. You'd protect her ability to have kids in the future. You would want her to have a viable child, to fulfill whatever, I don't know, Amazon Prime theocratic Christian future we have waiting for us. But this is pure cruelty. This is control, cruelty, wanting women to bleed out in their cars, wanting them to watch their children suffer, breathe their last breaths in the hospital in their arms or within a year or whatever it is, be strapped with hospital bills and doctor's bills. I did reporting in El Salvador about this. This was like 2016. Trump just got elected, or was about to be elected, I guess. And I was visiting women who had been in prison for 30 years for having miscarriages that were then deemed abortions. They would wake up in a hospital, and sometimes they didn't know they were pregnant and be handcuffed to their beds. That's where we are. That's how close we are to that. And we're already seeing prison sentences come down for women. In a recent case, right, a woman who had miscarried in a bathroom, tried to flush the toilet, didn't even know that she was pregnant. Anyway, right.
Yeah. And she's being prosecuted for desecrating the corpse.
Which, a bloody mass that came out of her and the fetus was non-viable. And I guess she was supposed to inspect the corpse and then call the to see, the remains of the fetus, and then call the cops just to make it clear she wasn't desecrating the corpse instead of flushing it down the toilet as she went through a very difficult medical episode. And to your point though, Francesca, this really is about punishing women, and it goes so much deeper than I would say, maybe Republicans would say, well, we have to apply a uniform standard because it's a slippery slope before they start killing babies. But I think it's more even pathological. It's about punishing women who they determine are not perfect earthen vessels for the child. These are deep, scary religious fundamentalist inclinations about what the value of a woman's femininity is. And it's the value of, you go back to Henry VIII about, can you produce an heir for me that is healthy and that is going to continue the line of me, the man. And women that have difficulties in that area, they don't see them as full women. And so, if they have medical episodes that hurt their fertility in the long run, that's fine, because that's God's natural law punishing her for not being a real woman in their eyes.
Or the young woman who was denied medicine because she's of childbearing age. I think that was actually in New York. And she spoke about that she was told that because she could get pregnant, didn't want kids, used protection always, had no intention of getting pregnant. She was denied her medicine in that moment. And it's just why that's in a blue state. So you're right. I mean, it's interesting also a lot of, abortion rights activists talk about the fertility clinics. How far are we from, so-called pro-lifers protesting the embryos, you know what I mean? And other they're not, but they might be.
Well,
but is that
this is the point, is that this is why like cases like this are so important to them, because they must establish that a fetus under every circumstance is a person, is a citizen. And that's why you've got like the bloody mass needs to be treated as if it was a corpse of a person who had been born and died. That's why they are saying you cannot, regardless of the fact that this fetus is not viable and could cause you damage, we must treat it as if it's a person walking around right now and apply our laws to them. Because once they establish that, then they start going for the embryos. And we already see it coming from the other end. You know, when Matt Walsh said stuff that like, you know, that you need two parents, and that that getting pregnant via a surrogate, via IVF is unnatural and not right. Well, why? What makes it more natural or right for a woman who can't conceive, or a man who doesn't have, you know, sperm that works? I mean, they're coming for the entire process. They're going to own all of it, and they're going to dictate what is done, and they will just get beachhead after beachhead after beachhead, and they are not going to stop this assault. I mean, it's quite clear. They have a vision for how this stuff goes down, and we are going to we're all going to have to fall in line with their fundamentalism. Period. End of story. Well, that was encouraging and fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Unbelievable.